Too late. Fuck it. We're in. This is how we roll. This is what being live is. So, Richie, how are you, my darling? Thank you so much for joining us today. Look, I mean, this is what we're all about, right? Real, raw, honest. We had no clue if we were live. Before that, we were talking about wine and underpants. So I promise people, we are going to share some better insights than that.
100%. Thank you so much for having me on, and to everyone in your group and out there. I hope everyone's going really well in these times right now.
Yeah, it's pretty hectic. Hey, pretty crazy times are ahead, and you are no stranger to hard times at all.
Yeah, 100%. Well, first thing is I just want to say that my heart goes out there to anyone who is struggling right now, or who's finding this really, really challenging, or hasn't experienced a lot of adversity in their lives, or to people listening in America, or anyone else who's also like victims of domestic violence right now. Things are worse for people, or people with disabilities or vulnerabilities. Everything is a lot more magnified. I just want to say from me to you, my heart is with you right now, and we can get through this. And speak to someone, speak to Haley, speak to me. We're here to help you.
Look, you know what, and that's what just makes you, that's why I'm so drawn to you. I've known you for many, many years. I've known you for what? Oh, I'm going to give my ages and stuff, 20 years? About that?
Hey! So we met when we were 10, basically.
5.
Okay, sounds good.
I've always been drawn to you. You're such a huge energy. You have always been so kind and so giving and so generous. And I think that's just something you say, but that's actually something that you do, because you do some incredible work with from a charity, and that came about from adversity, didn't it? You had a bit of a bingle.
Yeah. So first of all, I love what you do. I'm a massive fan of yours and how you inspire the people around you. You are what we call a true leader. And in a time of crisis, leadership is key right now. You know, the things that we need right now is resilience, determination, solidarity, strength, shared purpose, kindness, and compassion. You're about all those things. Nelson Mandela said that difficulties break some men, but make others. So I know that you pulled together, you're looking for leaders. So before we start this conversation, I just want to say, if you are a leader, or if you have leadership qualities, there's never been a time in our lifetimes greater than this to stand forward and stake your worth of who you are. This is the time right now. And I like that you are leading by example.
I wanted to interrupt because it only switches when I'm talking. I just want to do these maneuvers.
How incredible is Richie's passion, though? Like, you are such a passionate man, and it is so refreshing. Like, it's so nice.
It's literally popping through the screen, mate. Like, I just can feel you. I can feel your energy. You're an awesome person. And can you just quickly?
Yes.
And I know that you've told this story so many times. I actually told this story to my daughter on the way back from the last time that I actually came down to Sydney to see you. And I was so captivated by the entire story and how you actually got onto the journey of how much giving you do. And it came from a very dark space.
Yes. So 6 years ago, as of next week, it's my 6-year anniversary. I was on top of the world. Life could not have been better for me. I was 34 years old. Business was amazing. I felt invincible. And I woke up that morning. I had like the most amazing year of my life. It was really funny. I had the thoughts that day for the first time in my life. I was a little bit complacent. I was a little bit bored of life. And I woke up and I thought, okay, another day. And I just felt off that whole day. We've all had off days before. I didn't want to go to work, didn't want to go to the gym. Anyone who knows I'm full of energy, I like to leap out of bed. Later that evening, I promised a friend of mine that I would have dinner with him. And he lives in Potts Point, where there's not a lot of parking. So I thought I'd just dart up there on my motorbike and I'd come back. And I had a Harley Davidson. And I jumped up on my Harley and I was riding up Old Sutherland Road in Bellevue Hill. I made a right-hand turn into Victoria Road. And I'm a very advanced motorbike rider. And up ahead on my left, there was a white station Holden wagon. And it was waiting at the brick gates of an apartment building. The driver was looking the other way. So I was wondering, had he seen me? Could he see my lights? Could he hear me? And as I approached him, I slowed down. And then as I went to accelerate, he slammed on the gas. And there was nothing I could do. He was too close, too fast. And I just braced myself for the impact. And he T-boned me. And he literally, my whole left leg from my knee down got shattered into hundreds of pieces. I broke my tibia and fibula, which compound fractured, came out of my leg. My knee exploded into hundreds of pieces, killed my meniscus, my cartilage. Then he slammed on the brakes and pushed my motorbike into oncoming traffic. And I thought at that moment that I was going to die.
Look,
the front of his car, huh?
I know this sounds like a crazy question, right? And I don't know if you've been asked, what is it? What they say? Is it like your life flashes before you? Did you feel it?
Yeah. So when the car hit me, the front of his car smashed my left leg on the burning hot engine of my motorbike. Like the metal crushed my tibia, my fibula, my tibial plateau, shattering it into hundreds of pieces. When he hit me, I felt zero pain, but it was like moment by moment, and it was seconds. And I remember every single second. He pushed my bike, and I went in oncoming traffic, and I saw a car heading towards me, and the lights were blinding me, and I thought I was going to die in that moment. And it was like the worst thing. And as they say, your whole life was in front of you. And shockingly, I had this feeling of real calm that if I did die at that point, it was okay. I'm cool. I'm cool with dying. I've lived a great life. And then the car veered off and missed me. And then I had to get off this motorbike, and I just pushed off with all my might. And I landed on my head, smashing my helmet into hundreds of pieces. And the second I hit the ground, I felt the worst pain in my life. You know what I screamed out? The first thing I screamed out on the side of the road was, why God, why God, why me, why me? Because I couldn't understand how in 1 second our lives can change forever. And how true is that right now for what we're going through, right?
Oh my God, yes. Oh my God, I'm covered in goosebumps. I am covered head to toe. I couldn't hear that story enough. And every time I hear it, it's like the first time I've heard it.
Yeah. So what followed for me was, I could speak for hours about this. We don't have a lot of time because it's most of the lessons that I want to get into about this. But what followed for me, just to give you a little summary, was, I shattered my leg completely from my knee down. I spent 4 years in and out of hospitals. I spent in isolation hundreds of days, isolation, in a bed for more than 20 hours a day in 3 different countries. I had 8 major operations, 7 of which failed for me. I couldn't walk unassisted for over 3 years. I had chronic pain so bad that at times for me, even getting up and getting dressed and having a shower would make me cry from pain, and I would have to go back to bed again. So when you have chronic pain, you don't want to see people. So most of the whole 4 years, you isolate, right?
But how dark? I've had surgery and shit, nothing even close. I mean, I've had a few different experiences, but not even close. How dark did it get?
Well, it got really, really dark. I had things like post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, depression, loneliness, so I had everything. To keep going, I did a first in the world operation. I did over 400 physio sessions. I stopped breathing, after an operation. I got a golden staph infection. They were going to amputate my leg. So it was this very, very, very long journey that I went through. It's not the point of my story. The point of my story is, what is the lesson that I learned out of this, which is what we all need in our lives right now, because I've completely come through it on the other side. I'm a 1 in a million. I healed. And I came up with a concept that I want to share with you guys, which I talk about a lot. I'm a motivational speaker now, and I own this concept.
Damn straight you are.
And the concept's called a return on resilience. So resilience is all about bouncing back. A return on resilience is actually about how do we find the opportunity in bad things that happen to us? How do we find an opportunity of bad things that happen to you? How do we make the most out of COVID-19? It's about understanding that we can't change what's happened, but we can change the way that we react to what's happened. And it's what we extract out of it that's going to be of benefit. It's going to be of use to your life, because it's what we do now that will determine what the future will look like. And there's 3 stages to what we're going through right now. There's now, where we are. There's now, there's after, and then there's the beyond, right? So right now, everyone is in a bit of a state of shock. We all can't control our mindsets. And in Return on Resilience, I've split it up into 4 parts. So basically, same like a return on investment. How do we get a return out of our experiences? Like with return on investment, say, what cash am I going to get out of this investment? With return on resilience, we say, what's my ROI? What return am I going to get from all the hard work? Why do we waste our experiences when we can get something out of them? You know, even if it's resilience. And I also talk about something like, it's called banking resilience. The same way that we bank money for a rainy day, we can bank resilience for a time when we really need it in our lives. But before we do that, there's an amazing author who talks about, her name's Caroline Myss. Have you heard about her?
No. Tell me.
Caroline Myss wrote a book called Why People Don't Heal and How They Can. And when she was when she was writing that book, researching it, she identified a syndrome which has since become a recognized psychological condition, and it's called woundology. And what woundology is people who become defined by their pain or their illness. It empowers them. They draw power out of it. So
I know so many people like that. I've come in contact with so many different people that actually the pain becomes part of their identity. It becomes part of their relationships and how people respond to them in the relationship.
That is spot on what I'm talking about. So right now we all have to be very, very careful that that does not happen to us, right? So so I call Return on Resilience. I've got a framework that comes underneath it. So if you follow my 4 steps, you will find your Return on Resilience, because it's not only good enough to overcome whatever adversity you are going through in your life, but it's about resilience is about finding meaning in what you're going through and becoming better than you were before you went through it. It's about turning your pain into purpose, creating hope from the hopeless, turning crisis into an opportunity. So with the Kadima framework, there are 4 steps. And I think right now where we're all at is the first step of Kadima, which we can get into.
Yeah, so spell that for me, Kadima.
Kadima is an ancient Hebrew word, which means moving forward.
Love it.
I call it the Kadima.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And look up. Sorry, go on. I don't want to interrupt you. I'm literally sitting here going, next.
We both
and then. Tell me more.
It's all very relevant to now.
It is. So it's not irrelevant. It's so relevant. Like this is exactly what's happening. I suppose because people can't see, touch, and feel it. There's a lot of conversation at the moment on Facebook with people going, do you know someone with COVID? Do you know somebody affected? But that's not it. People aren't actually necessarily taking and hadn't been taking it so bloody seriously, but now it's hit them in the face and they're like, shit, now what?
Yeah. It's not only that, it's the first time in our generation that we've ever experienced anything like this before. It's as the Prime Minister calls it, it's a twin crisis. Not only are we scared of our health for our loved ones and for ourselves, we're also scared about our economy and our businesses and our work, which is so affected as well. So it affects you on every kind of axle or ice. So the issue that we have is that people feel anxiety because it's normal. We've lost control of the future, right? So which takes us to the first step of Kadima, which I call integration. Okay.
I love it. I'm taking notes, mate. I'm ready. I'm ready to go. I love it. I know. Is there some way we can get like a PDF or some link to where we can actually find this? Because I know that this will be so helpful. I know a handful of people right now as I'm listening to you speak that would get, I know where you're going with this, and I know you, and I know that you would never have developed this if it wasn't tried and true, because it's something, it's come from your inside.
100%. I speak to all the major companies at their conferences about this. I've been doing this for 6 years already, so it's not something which is new. And the trick is that, you know, I've been down in the dumps before. I've been below the dumps. I've been the worst of the worst, as I've explained to you, you know, and I was able to come out of it on top. And I have faith in everyone that's going through this, from me to you, that you will get through this and everything ends. And even though you might not see a light at the end of the tunnel now, there will be an end to this, like there is to every single thing. But the trick is,
I'm inspired now. We're not even 10 minutes in, and I just like want to get up and go do something amazing.
Mate, do you know what's actually so cool? You say like the light at the end of the tunnel, mate. You're up there with like, you're poking holes in the tunnel.
Yeah.
Like, no light at the end of the tunnel. We'll just get a freaking drill. We'll make our own lights. I like it.
Well, the trick is with return on resilience is that we leave it better than what we started it. And that is our job. It's not only good enough to overcome whatever we're going through. It's our job is to become a better, no matter what happens to us in our lives, whether it's good or bad. It's our job to find positive meaning in, regardless of how hard it is. And generally, if you have faith in it, the worst things in life will equal the biggest growth in life. It's God giving us a push that we need to grow. We need to adjust. I've never heard of someone who's grown out of just that their lives are already amazing. You grow out of adversity and struggle, and this is what you need. And the choice is up to you right now, how you deal with this. Do you sit at home and watch Netflix and you become a victim? Or do you say, you know, I'm going to use this time to get better. I'm going to pivot in my business and be creative, and I'm going to change it, and I'm going to make more money than I did before.
Woo!
You know, this one thing is, you know, out of the GFC, you look at the businesses that came out of that.
Nice.
Uber, Airbnb, Alibaba. There is an opportunity right now. The biggest thing in the world is when people are retreating in the world, right? The smartest people aren't retreating. They are moving forward and they're looking for opportunity. When everyone's running away is when you're going to find the most opportunity in business, in life, in growth. I promise you.
No, I'm converted. I'm preaching to the seriously. Just on that positivity note, because I know that there's a heap of people like, oh, you can't just get through on positivity alone. What do you say to those people?
Well, I think it's about, what I think it's about is we have no alternative than to be positive right now. What else can you be? It's already happened. Either you're going to be one of those people which is going to focus on the negative, or you're going to change the story and find the positives. You know what? As a matter of fact, I sit down every day and I write out the positives. Where's my positives today? That I'm finding out of this situation. These are my positives today that I'm finding out of this situation. Seriously, every day I write out the positives. And this ties in.
This is what I love so much about you, Richie. You are not a talker, you're a doer. You live this. This is part of who you are.
And this all ties into the first concept of Kadima, which is integration. And what integration is how do we integrate what's happened in order to reach acceptance right now? And part of being able to do that right now, the world is in a state of shock, right? And we are grieving because we've lost all control of our lives. Have you ever heard of Kubler-Ross before?
Yes.
Okay, so Kubler-Ross, for the people who haven't, she came up with the stages of grief model when we lose a loved one in our lives, right? Because our identity will never be the same again, right? The world will never be the same as it is right now.
I don't want it to be.
Exactly. So the people which are getting ahead are able to accept that and able to shift their mindset and pivot in their lives and their businesses. To be able to pivot, you have to be able to control your mindset, and you have to be able to register your feelings. From my journey, when I went through the feelings of post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, depression, loneliness, I learned one thing. If you're not able to adapt and to accept what you are feeling right now, register your feelings, there is no chance that you will get through this on top. So a big part of that is, first of all, you need to be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
And you need to be kind to other people. It's okay if you're feeling grief, anxiety, depression.
Because like, I mean, there's a lot, like, it's called kind of like, say, be kind to yourself, but like for people that aren't naturally able to be kind to themselves, what does kindness look like for you? What do you do to be kind to yourself?
Okay, so if you aren't able to be kind to yourself, you generally have bad feelings for yourself. I have two remedies for that. One is, you right there? We all good?
No, don't worry. You can't see a thing. We're just closing the blinds. It's like,
so one is you need to be very conscious about what your mind is feeling. For me, when I was in my hospital bed, right in the beginning, we're all perfectionists in our lives. And I am the biggest critic because I want success. I want to succeed. I want to kill. That's who I am as a person. But when I'm lying in a hospital bed for 100 days and I can't exercise and I can't eat well and I can't work, the first thing that I had to learn was that self-kindness thing, to silence that critic in my mind. And it's actually not even a silence. It's to be conscious of it when it's screaming at you and yelling at you. Say, Richie, you're an asshole. Richie, you're not good enough. Richie, you should be doing this. To say, hold on a second. These are extremely challenging times right now. It's okay if I'm feeling sad. That is a wrong voice in your head. So it's about that critic who's pushing you to tell them, no, stop pushing me right now. We're in the wrong time. And then my second tool for that is, if you can't be kind to yourself, the biggest tip I give is do something for someone else. Take the focus off yourself. And if you do something for someone else, you feel good about yourself automatically. I love
that so much. If you can't be kind to yourself, be kind to someone else. I love it.
100%. As you know, I have Hark Angels, which is a charity, and it's set in overseas. Right now we're in a crisis in Australia, and I think, how can we help out? And we pivoted to helping a local charity deliver food to the elderly and vulnerable, as you've seen, because all their delivery drivers who are volunteers are unable to do it because they're all in the danger zone.
Just very quickly, can you just explain, like you do have a charity called Hark Angels, and you are doing incredible work over in Myanmar, correct?
Yeah.
You are 10 schools you've built?
Yeah, 9 schools. So I'll explain that. Let's just get through this integration bit, though.
All right, go on. Sorry, I was more pain in the butt. I'm like, woo!
That's all right. So the world is in a little bit of shock right now. It's very important for people right now to be able to get to acceptance. Kubler-Ross talks about stages to reach acceptance. So there's 5 stages. Denial. We want to deny that anything's changed. And then we're angry. We blame other people. We blame the Chinese people for having this environment. We blame ScoMo for the way that he's dealt with it. Then we're bargaining. Oh, if only we can turn back time. If only we did this differently, which leads to depression, which we have to understand. Depression is hard. It's difficult, but it's the turning point to reach acceptance. We have to accept that we're living in a new world right now. Your life, Haley, will never be the same ever again, but you have the opportunity to be worse or to be better. And you have to be very conscious that you have that choice right now. So to do that, there's a couple of very important things. We need to guard our mindset. The information that we allow in our heads will affect our decision making and will determine what we will be. So, and it's very hard right now because there's so much noise around us. There's social media, there's negativity everywhere. So it's really important that you put control around yourselves about who you're listening to, what you're reading. There you go. What you're reading. So controlling your mindset is so important. I have a podcast which is called Return on Resilience. And on today's episode, I have an amazing anxiety psychologist called Dr. Jody Lowinger, who talks all about controlling your mindset.
Look, I saw that. I'll be tuning in. I'm very keen to hear that. That's amazing. I'll make sure that I put a link in below too.
Thank you.
No, it's okay.
So to get to Hark Angel, We'll just skip around. So basically I have a whole framework. We'll throw that out the window. We don't have time now.
Yeah, you do. I don't mind. If you're on a time sheet, doesn't matter. Just keep going.
That's all good. Let's get to the
all day.
Don't stop on our account. They're just sitting here enjoying it.
We can move around. It's all good. So I'll just tell you a little story which leads to Hark Angel. I was 2.5 years and 6 operations in, and I did a first in the world operation. When they told me I couldn't be healed in Australia, I said, that's not good enough. And I reached out to 6 best surgeons in the world, and it led me to Hanover, Germany. And I did the operation. It failed. A year and a half later, I did it again. It was a major operation. I stopped breathing. I woke up paralyzed. I had a huge recovery in America. And after 2.5 years of hell, for the first time, I could just walk again. And I was finally coming into the land of hope.
Goosebumps. Every time you speak, we're just like,
and I was finally coming into the land of hope. And basically what happened was I need to have a very small operation. They found that a small bit of metal had moved in my leg. And I used to have major operations where they drill, they hammer, they saw, and every operation is like a 6-month recovery. And I had this very small operation. I could just walk again. I came back to Australia and I was feeling really unwell. And I remember I had a really bad nightmare and I didn't want to get out of bed and I had a fever. And I woke up the next morning. I looked down at my leg and I could see a hole that had opened up in my leg. And I could see down in my knee joint. And it was oozing. And it was oozing with golden staph. I had a golden staph infection. And it was like after 2.5 years and 6 operations and hundreds of days of trying and killing and pushing, it was like the accident happened all over again.
oh my God.
Now they're telling me I'm going to have to amputate my leg most likely. I had to do 200 days of the most aggressive antibiotics in the world. 84 was administered through a PICC line that was strapped to my arm, 24 hours a day with 14,000 milligrams of flucloxacillin, one of the most strongest antibiotics in the world. And I hit rock bottom in my journey. And it was dark and it was really tough. And I, again, had to get myself out of the pit and back into possibility, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, able to do that.
No, I mean, look, I had no, like, I only see, because obviously I live in Queensland, you're in Sydney and New South Wales in Australia. So I can, well, and I was watching you through that entire, do you remember years ago just seeing on Facebook and seeing you having all these operations, and there was not one photo without you smiling.
Yeah.
Every single photo was of you smiling. And I know that, like, you would have gone to dark places, but you didn't let that out into the world.
You know, when you are injured for so long and when you go through so much, like I stopped breathing, everything that you can happen. I was a human guinea pig. I did first in the world operations. You know, everything, they stapled me, they sawed me, they hacked me, they hammered me, you know, and the thing which was the hardest the most, which I think that we're all suffering right now, where I talked about Kubler-Ross. So that's why I wanted to talk about that, is before every operation, I would get my hopes up that I was going to recover. And then after 6 months of hell and pushing and trying, bang, when you hear that it didn't work and you get pushed back down to the gutter again. And it's exactly what I'm talking about right here. And after so much of that, you just learn that keep yourself in the middle. Don't get your hopes up high when you hear great news, and don't get your hopes up low when you hear more bad news. Stay in the center. It's really important to stay level. Don't let external factors control you.
I don't think, I'm just going to interrupt you there, because I don't actually think, like, I think that speaks a lot to who you are as a person, because I don't think many people would be able to go through that and have the operations and get the hopes up and do the recovery and do all the stuff and the things that you've been doing.
Yeah.
For that amount of time. Do you know what I mean? At some point,
yeah,
most people would give up and just go, do you know what? I can't do this. It's too hard. It's too much. I don't want to do it. Like, how do you do?
I tell you one thing. You know, if you had to tell me I had to go through what I went through before, I would never know that I had the strength in me. We do not know the strength of who we are till when we need it. And I promise you both right now, and everyone listening, you have that strength inside of you right now. You are resilient, you are able, you are strong. But it's all about summoning that strength. And when you need it, it will come there. But the biggest things that will stop that is fear, anxiety, depression. You need to regulate, and it all starts with your mindset. Exactly what I said with integration. You need to make sure you're registering your feelings that you were going through, and you are controlling your mindset. And you have to be conscious of how you're feeling and what you're going through. One of the biggest lessons that came out of that was, and this took me 2 years to be able to do this, is I stopped caring about what was out of my control. It didn't matter anymore if I was even going to lose my leg anymore. For me, all that mattered was I tried my best, and whatever will happen is out of my control. And that's what we all need to get to. So when I hear bad news that's happening, if I can't control that bad news, it doesn't affect me. And I have a lens where I can see things through all that adversity. When someone says, don't go that way, because whatever they're feeling, I can go that way because I see an opportunity that other people don't see, which is one of the things that have come out of that for me, which is all about the Kadima mindset.
You think that's a gift? Because I'm very similar in that way, Richie. Like, I see opportunities that other people can't see.
But Haley, that's because you're able to quieten all the other noise or control what you are feeling, because I know that you've also gone through so much adversity in your life. And what I call it, you've banked your resilience to be the person that you are now. You are right now the product of all the adversity and all the experiences that you've gone through. And you might just sit here and say, okay, that's just me. But I know that looking out, that this is you because you've gone through that.
And that's why adversity is so goddamn important. It is so important.
And if nothing else positive that will come out of this is the next time anything bad happens in your life, you're going to say, you know what? I'm strong enough to get through this. I know that within me and who I am made of, that I will come out the other side stronger and better and more resilient. So to finish off the Hark Angel story.
Yeah.
So when I was in my hospital bed, I had all this time on my hands. And when I was in hospital bed in isolation, I made myself one deal. And the one deal that I made myself was that I was not going to waste any time. And I set myself a routine every single day. And I would do the most mundane things like courses on how to tie knots. I had someone come in who was a motivational speaker, and they mentored me to become a motivational speaker. And one of the things that I did was I thought about the story of the young boy who was my donor. And the story was that he was driving with his mother in the city of Hanover in Germany on a sunny day. They were stopped waiting at a traffic light, unaware of the horror that was about to unfold. As a semi-trailer truck came speeding around the corner. The driver didn't see them. He braked, and no matter what he did, he plowed into the back of them. The mom was killed instantly. The boy, his head hitting the dashboard, was pronounced brain dead. In hospital, his father had this terrible decision. Do you allow your son, to have an enormous influence on someone else's life by becoming a donor? And I was one of those people. And when
I'm tearing up already. And again, I just kind of, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Sorry.
It's okay. And when they transplanted, it was the first in the world operation because they kept him alive on a ventilator. They harvested his knee whilst he was alive. They just cut off, using 3D software technology, the graft of what I was missing, and they put the live part into me. They transplanted into me. So his cells were 92% alive when they transplanted into me. That boy, whose name I'll never know, became the inspiration of my life. I realized that someone had given up their life for me. And that was my moment of inspiration. So later, when I got this staph infection and I was unwell and I spent months and months in hospital, I started thinking about this young boy and his story. And I decided that I would write a letter to his father. And in the letter, I wrote, I can never repay him or his son for what he's done for me. But one of the things I do is I was involved in another charity, build schools in the poorest places in the world. And I wanted to build a school in his son's honor. And so these children can make lives for themselves, and his son's spirit can live on through all these children. And yeah, I wrote to him saying that I was really inspired, because when I was in recovery, I met or heard of 7 other people, all who got parts from this young boy. In his death, he gave life to so many other people. And that inspired me to also want to make a difference. Out of everything bad that happens in our lives, it's our choice to leave it as something bad or to find meaning in it. When I look back at my accident right now, I would never change it. I would never say I wouldn't, because so much goodness has come out of it. And we all have to do that right now with COVID-19.
That's exactly what's happening right now. There's so much, like, it's crazy. I know we're in lockdown. I know people are losing their houses and everything else and loved ones, but this is what it's happening right now. It's the same thing. It's just on a bigger scale. And we have to find the goodness. We have to find all the silver linings and look for the lights at the end or in the middle of the tunnel, whatever that looks like. So
100% right. The way that I talk about it is, in a crisis, there are gifts always. And it's our job to find those gifts. Again, whenever something bad happens to us in our lives or good, it's our job to find some positive meaning in that, because that is part of our life. We need to incorporate that into the story of our life. And we need to, once you're able to do that, you're able to influence the direction of your own life. You become the author of your story. You become the master of your destiny. Influence yourself, and you move to earn the right to inspire other people. Because what we're meant to be doing in our life, Haley, is what you are doing right now, is helping other people. We're not here forever. If there's one very good lesson that's going to come out of all this, is that none of us are invincible. None of us are going to be here forever. Every single thing which we took for granted, we will not anymore. You know, when I got hit by that car, I lost so much in my life. When I was injured for 4 years and I couldn't go to the toilet on my own, or I couldn't get a glass of water, or I would count the steps when I walked into a building, I would wish and I would do anything in the world to have my old life back. Now that I have my life back, I live every single minute like it's my last minute alive.
As you should. As you should.
And same with us. All the things which we have in our lives, which we took for granted, like going to the gym or just hugging someone, we won't take that for granted anymore.
No, we won't, because we can't go. I literally walked into the office. I was like, I need to go to the gym.
So I found the opportunity in a really bad thing that happened to me. I found the return on my resilience, which was I built that one school, which I promised to the Father, even though because of the staph infection I had, it killed most of my donor's bone. I still have part of his leg, but it killed most of it. But a promise is a promise. And I built that one school and I saw all the goodness that I was coming out of it. And it's called Hark Angel because he was like an angel to me, like an archangel. So I called him the Hark Angel.
From Harkham.
Harkham. So I made a wine called Hark Angel to raise money to build that school.
Yeah, because you also, you know, in the spare time, you also have a winery, is that right?
Yeah, I have 4 different businesses. I have Harkham Wines, which I'm the founder of and I started 15 years ago. I own a private university with 2 other people called Australian College of Physical Education, ACPE. It's in Homebush. I own another business which is based in lovely Queensland called Australian Institute of Personal Trainers, AIPT. We do online courses and foundation education. And I own another business called Energy Alliance, which is an energy brokerage business. And I'm a motivational speaker. So the point.
When do you sleep?
I only sleep for 4 hours a night. But I want to help. I want to help the world. So Hark Angel. So when I saw the goodness that was coming out of one school, I thought, hold on a second. Why stop at one school? So what happened to me was when I got hit by that car, and that moment when I thought I was going to die, which I talked about before, for me, that haunted me later. I got post-traumatic stress disorder about that moment. And it wasn't the thought of dying that haunted me. It was the thought that if I did die, there were so many things in my life that I put off doing that I could have done better. And it made me crazy. And I've chased down all those things in my life. Now, every single thing that I have in my life as a goal after my accident, I times by 10, because we all underestimate what we can do in 10 years and we overestimate what we can do in 1 year. So my goal of my life would ever be to do 10 schools. And the Hark Angel Foundation, our goal is to build 100 schools in the poorest places in the world where the world has forgotten. Where if there is no school, children start work from the age of 9 years old. And it's usually hard.
I've said this to you before, you already know that. And if there's anything at all, you know that. You just have to ask if we can help you in any way, shape or form. And if anybody else is listening and they can help in any way, I just can't recommend this guy enough. Sorry. Just wanted to do a shameless plug there for a minute.
Thank you. Yeah, you're a very great supporter. I want to thank you. So we're building 100 schools. You know, where we build schools, kids will start work from 9 years old. Hard labor, child labor is the norm in these countries, and we empower them and their communities to change their lives through education. And as you know, we built 9 schools. Imagine my goal was only 10. I did it in 2.5 years already, and we have 2,000 children in our schools. And people ask me why I do that for these children, because even though these communities have no electricity, no running water, no toilets, no showers, they are so happy, humble, grateful, and kind. And when we talk about banking resilience, these children bank their resilience every single day of their lives because their lives are hard. And for me, when I look at what we are going through right now, one of the most important things that we can find right now is perspective. And to be resilient, people ask, how do you be resilient? Well, perspective is a huge one. You know how lucky we are right now to be in this amazing country with this amazing healthcare system. When I was in hospital in Australia, I'd be like, thank God. I would kiss the nurses, kiss the doctors. I kissed the cleaners even.
I bet you did. That's so good.
Because we're in such a fantastic country with a fantastic healthcare system, a fantastic government. You know, in some of these countries where I work.
Can I just interject in that? I so 1000% agree with you in that respect. So many people complain about the healthcare system here, but they just have no freaking clue. You need to get out of this bubble and see how other countries do it. We are so lucky. We are so lucky here.
100%. I spend 2 months every year in third world countries for Hark Angel, and I love going there. I love the people. I love the kindness of the people in third world countries. I love that it's a real community over there. And when we talk about perspective, one young girl comes to mind, which I want to share her story right now for your listeners. And her name is Lucy. I don't know if I've told you. I think I've told you.
No, but I'm ready. I've got my wine, and I love this story.
It's a good story.
It is a great one.
Okay, so Lucy is, besides that boy, is my first reason why she was the first reason why I ever started, what motivated me to help these children. It was 2012, so my accident was in 2014. I was in Kenya, Africa, and I was building a facility. I was helping in another charity. I was a volunteer building a facility for young disadvantaged girls from the Maasai community in Kenya, Africa. Do you know what Maasais are?
They're the jump. The jump?
Yeah. They're the jumpers with the jewelry, they're the beads. They wear beaded jewelry, and they're known to be the fiercest warriors in the world. Lions are scared of them. And I got to be a part of their village and their community. They're beautiful people. But one of their horrible customs that they have is they circumcise their young girls at the age of 11. It's a rite of passage. All the young people there go through. 80% of them, when I was there in that village, experienced female genital mutilation. And when I met Lucy, a year before I met her, her father couldn't afford to keep her, which is a very common story in the third world. And he sold her to an older man to be married. It wasn't the older man's first wife, it was maybe his third wife, in exchange for a cow. She was 11 years old at the time. She was circumcised. A year later, I met her, and a teacher, her mother, and I secured her so she didn't have to be sold. And she was back in school. And I got to spend time with Lucy. And what inspired me so much about Lucy is she had so much adversity in her life, but it was her attitude towards life that was so infectious. And I couldn't understand, with all the shit and the crap that she had to endure in her life, a normal person would probably be dead by suicide. she was still happy. And I couldn't understand. And I said, Lucy, the world needs to know your story. And I took my iPhone and I shot a documentary called A Day in the Life of Lucy, which I'll share with your listeners. They can watch it. And I got to follow Lucy for 24 hours. And I got to see her life and how she lived in her life. And, you know, she'd wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and she would wash in a bucket. Then she would go and she'd milk cows. Then she would take care of her brothers and sisters and wash them. Then she would she would make jewelry to sell because they lived hand to mouth. The money that she earned that day, she would eat that night and the family would eat. She would take care of her father who sold her. She would collect firewood with her sister. She would buy dinner, cook dinner in a minyata, a house made from cow poo where they all lived, where there's no light, there's no ventilation. I slept there with them and it was horrible. I kept hitting my head. I couldn't even fit in there and I would choke from the smoke of the smell. And it's her brothers and her sisters are the ones with flies all over them because they don't know how to wash their faces. There's no running water. There's no electricity. And what broke my heart was at 10:30 at night, at the end of this day, after everything that Lucy did and went through, she sat there in front of a fireplace. I was exhausted. I couldn't even keep my eyes. I'm watching with one eye open in front of a fireplace, and she would do her homework in the dark. You remember this girl's worked for like 17 hours now. And she would tell me earlier that she has no chance of going to high school, but that was a dream of her life, was to go to high school. And she didn't care if it was not possible. She was going to make it possible with all her hardship, with all her adversity. She did not care. And she sat there and she did it. And the other thing which broke my heart was she would sit there and she would sew this freaking her shoe every night. It was a 17-year-old freaking shoe. And she would sew her shoe every single night because that's all she had. It was passed down and passed down. And in the dark, all this happened. And I was just like, so touched by her story that the next day, the mother, when I said goodbye, said, you know, you've lived with us now. You are now part of our family. You are my son. She is your brother. And when I left there, I never had such emotion in my life. I just could not handle my emotion. I can't remember right now. It makes me sad right now to know. And I just thought, you know, I have to do something here. And I surprised Lucy and I put her in the boarding house. So we secured her so she could still go home. But when you lived in the boarding house, which you had, you excelled as a student. And I bought her a bucket and I bought her a trunk. And I remember I showed her new shoes and she cried. She never owned anything in her life. A bucket, she cried for a bucket and soap. You know, it was so crazy. And I said, Lucy, you know, I know that you're going to fail and this is going to be hard and you have so much adversity and toughness in your life. But we will get through this and we will do this together, one step after the other step. And last year, after 7 years, Lucy made it into high school. She made the dream of her life.
Woo! Yes, I'm crying, but yay!
I still sponsor her.
You're crying.
You're crying. Your face leaks on my face.
Oh.
I still sponsor her to this day. And this is the thing in Hark Angel.
How is she doing now? Is she doing well?
Unfortunately, so I have people that keep tabs on her because they don't have technology. It's very hard. I still sponsor her. Her school is on hold. She's been passing, but I haven't unfortunately been able to get contact of her in the last 4 months. But I heard that she's going well, but I haven't heard from her directly, which is a bit scary because they would never tell you if she's doing bad because they want you to keep on supporting. So I don't really know right now. But the story of Lucy just is a very common story of I can pull out thousands of kids in Hark Angel from the schools and every kid will have a story like that. I can type AU, another boy and another young girl and Nettle, and I could tell you hundreds and thousands of their stories. But the thing is this, guys, tell me the adversity you are facing right now compared to Lucy's adversity in her life. Tell me, can you not find perspective right now that you're stuck in your home, wherever you are, in Australia right now? You're telling me your life is not as hard as Lucy's life or any of these children's life. We are so lucky.
Well, this is what I wanted to ask you, because you did say before, like, from adversity is how you grow and get strength and all of that. And, you know, your story is incredible. And I know Hayley's story is incredible. Like, you guys have gone through massive adversity, and Lucy's story is just, you know, but what about those people that actually don't have that much adversity? Like, Corona's obviously affecting everyone at the moment, but there are people who, like, how do you grow if you're not going through these life-changing adverse situations?
Yeah. Well, guess what, honey? Right now, you are going through that. The whole world is collectively going through that. Right now,
welcome to the party.
I've got 4 stages of Kadima. I've only told you the first stage, which
exactly.
is dealing with your mindset and being able to get to acceptance in what you're going through right now, going through the denial, the anger, you know, the bargaining, the depression, to get to that acceptance. I'll just give you a little hint of the second one is identity and purpose. Your identity of who you were has been crushed right now. You were not the same person that you were. So you have to find a new identity. And one of the things that helped me, I don't want to give too much away because I'm a motivational speaker.
No, it's all right.
Time is what I did to help me get through it, is to help me survive when I felt shit. And I would wake up every day for 300 days and I would feel like shit, because not only is my leg have a staph infection and I can't walk anymore and I can't move, but now they've given me a drip in my arm that's giving me 14,000 milligrams a day, and they're putting me, and I'm injecting a steroid in my stomach 365 days, which gives you anxiety and depression and all these things. And they're telling me they're going to amputate my leg. How did I get through all that? It's just survival, one step in front of the other step. Take every single moment for that moment. And as shit as you feel, know that there are people out there which are feeling the same thing. You can speak to someone and to know that you will make it through that. And whatever we go through, whatever you're experiencing right now, you have to understand that's becoming part of your identity. You're going to incorporate that into the person, into the butterfly that you are going to become later on. So we're all going through this adversity. And just to finish off my story with my leg, on my 8th and final go after I got the staph infection, they told me they're going to chop my leg off, and no one even wanted to take me on anymore. And I said, I'm not giving up. I don't care. You got to take my leg off me. You knock me down 100 times, I get back up 101 times, because I know what I am made of. Yeah. And if I fail, I fail. It's okay. But I don't fail, because it's not about exactly. It's about believing in yourself. But it's not about winning or losing. This is the biggest thing. Resilience and life is about the person that you become in the process, which is more than the winning and losing. Because whatever you go through, if you come out the other end a better person, you have won regardless of the outset. And on my 8th and final go, I couldn't find a doctor that would take me to have an operation, because it was most likely going to be a leg amputation, and they get an asterisk against their name. And I found a surgeon. He believed in me and I believed in him. And I said, I'm going to give him my best shot. And I've fully recovered. 1 in a million. Look, I'll do a little dance for you right now.
It actually worked.
I can exercise.
No, do it again.
Why?
Because no one gets to see the dance.
Okay. I can run again. I can bend. I can jump. I can move.
I love it. We're just kidding. Everyone saw it. We just wanted you to do it again. I'm kidding. They couldn't see it.
I'm just a bit upset though, to be honest with you, because at the start of this interview, you did tell us you didn't have pants on.
Yes.
I miraculously put some pants on.
Rude.
I knew that would happen.
That's what, he said he was going to go get wine. He put pants on.
He put pants on.
Yeah.
Richie, can I, like, seriously, I'd sit here for hours. I'm not even joking. I know I would literally sit here for hours and listen, because you're just inspiration in a bucket.
Incredible.
Like more than a bucket. It just oozes out of you. I am going to put links and stuff in our bits and pieces, but I'm also going to feature you on the website, and you will be featuring in our magazine as well when that's actually released. So the more people know about you, the better. Not just you, but like your causes, how you're operating. You just sprinkle goodness like it's glitter. And I'm so grateful. I'm grateful to have you in my life. I'm grateful to be able to share energy and space with you. And I'm grateful that I get to share it with our people.
With everyone else. Because your energy, your passion, You are genuine. Everything that you do is just, you can tell it's from your soul, and it's so incredible.
And I just want to add one thing. I think you guys are unbelievable. You do such a great job. You have such a strong community. You know, I just want to tell you, I found something which was unbelievable, and it's who do I want to be during COVID-19? Have you seen that curve? So there's 3 stages. There's a fear zone, the learning zone, and the growth zone. Use this time to grow. Be the best person that you can be. You know, a lot of people they're writing me a lot of messages, and they're saying to me, you know, Richie, I want to put myself there. I want to do something. I'm just too scared. Don't be scared. Take this time to take a leap. This is a kick in the ass for all of us to become better people and to be more and to do more and to give more. And what I said before is, Hark Angel, sure, I'm doing 100 schools, right? But it's not about that. The thing is that you don't need to do 100 schools. I believe that every single person is a whole wide world. If you change one person's life, you are changing the whole wide world. Take the focus off yourself and give back to do something for someone else, and you will feel unbelievable. And share it. Don't be so selfish that you keep it to yourself, God damn it. And tag Hark Angel. And
Yes. And it's not the numbers. It's not the numbers. It is the intention.
100%. And I just want to let you know that if anyone out there wants to contact me, I am here to help you. I'm here to serve as you are, Haley, and as all your team are right now. And we're here to help you guys. So please.
And literally we are. And that's Nat. I know you forgot a name there for me, didn't you?
I know that's Nat.
I love it. See, he's human, really. He's like, wow, and he forgot her name.
Rude.
Right, meeting's over. No.
Yeah, see you, bye. Life's done.
No, literally, like, I'll make sure if anybody else reaches out to me, I've actually got a few questions as people have been going through, but I don't know how, because I have been so engrossed and watching all these things come up. People are asking about and saying how amazing you are.
Live right now?
Hey?
I've never done one of these before. Is this actually live right now?
Yeah. Super live. You wait till you see it.
I didn't know that. I thought you uploaded later. Sorry. Hey guys.
But we will. We're actually, it'll go on our YouTube channel. It'll get uploaded so that people can, and you can use that and whatever have you. But we'll make sure that all the links in there, because your work is so important. Your output, your energy, everything is so freaking important for a multitude of reasons. Not just because of the work that you do, but because of the message you spread. And I'm so fucking grateful to have you on this show and just in my life and in our space. Thank you so much for joining us, Richie. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, this is it. This is the end of it. How do we wrap this? But how do we wrap it up? I'll see you on the flip side.
Thank you.
That's my daughter. She's just chucking her head in there for a minute.
Hey.
Bye, darling. Thank you. I'll see you soon, eh?
Bye, Rich.
Thank you.
Bye, sweetheart. Bye-bye.